Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ku-ring-gai Local Planning Panel meeting. On behalf of the panel, I recognise the traditional custodians of the land, the Ku-ring-gai people, on whose land we purport to meet. There are a number of matters that I must discuss or point out as a matter of formality. In line with what follows following the distancing requirements, we have maintained the use of conferencing technology to conduct these meetings, and so today's meeting will be conducted over Zoom. Any person speaking at a local panel meeting is advised that their voice and personal information, including name and address, will be recorded as part of the meeting and made publicly available on Council's website via live stream and an on-demand access, except any part of the meeting, of course, that is held in closed session. Accordingly, you must ensure that your address to the panel is respectful, that you use appropriate language, and refrain from making any defamatory statements or discriminatory comments. Ku-ring-gai Council does not accept any liability for statements, comments, or actions taken by individuals during a meeting of Ku-ring-gai Local Planning Panel. People connecting to this meeting by conferencing technology are reminded that under the Local Government Act, the recording of meetings by a member of the public using any electronic recording device, including a mobile phone or video camera, is not permitted. Any person found recording without the permission of Council may be expelled from the meeting. Some points to note. On-demand viewing of each KLPP meeting will be available until the holding of the subsequent meeting. Recordings of KLPP meetings are copyright protected and cannot be reused or reproduced without approval from Council. The order of business will be, first I'll be taking any apologies, and they'll probably they will come in conjunction with an introduction of the panel. Then there'll be speakers. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. Only those persons registered are entitled to be heard. A chime will be heard at the conclusion of the time, and you are asked specifically to bring your address to a close immediately after you hear that chime. Speakers for each item will be heard in the following order, namely objectors first, then the applicant, and we'll proceed from there. There will be questions that may come from the panel to the speakers. The first matter that is on the agenda today relates to a development application in respect of a property at 751 Pacific Highway, Gordon, for the change of use to a gymnasium operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with associated fit out and signage. No persons are listed to speak. The panel will therefore consider the report that has been provided to it on behalf of the Council officer, including the material provided on behalf of the applicant, and those matters will be considered after this public meeting when the panel adjourns to make its decisions. I omitted to take the declarations of interest as I admitted to, as I said that I would. So in doing so, I ask any panel member to declare whether they have a declaration of interest to make, or any staff member who's present and participating in the proceedings to indicate whether they have a conflict of interest. I hear nothing, so therefore I'll proceed with the introduction to the panel. I am the panel chairman. My name is Angus Talbot. I have a background in the law. I had 20 odd years as a solicitor, 10 years as a barrister, and 15 years as a judge of the Land and Environment Court, plus all the odds and sods and things that go on with that sort of activity. I will now ask the individual panel members to introduce themselves and to give a short indication of their background in terms of relevance to this meeting. First of all, I'll ask Sandra Robinson, an expert member of the panel. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Sandra Robinson. I'm a consultant town planner with more than 30 years planning experience. I sit on Ku-ring-gai's panel and another 4 local council panels.
Thank you. Greg Flynn, could you please introduce yourself? Not on air. Am I the only one not getting Greg?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please introduce yourself. Well, would someone try and adjust the situation with Greg? I'll go to Suzanne Jolly, our community member. Can you hear me, Suzanne?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
Suzanne Jolly, sitting on as the community member today. Been a resident of Ku-ring-gai council area for over 10 years now, and here to support, well, to act on your behalf, and to listen to concerns and make sure that they're considered. Of background in environmental planning as a degree. We've been working in that area as a consultant for the last 20 years.
Thank you, Suzanne. Now, can we go back to Greg? He's disappeared from my screen altogether now.
Mr. Chair, I believe he might have been having communication issues. He has dropped out. I'm guessing he will try and dial back in again shortly. I can get him on the phone if you like, and try and find out where he is.
Thank you. we had got to the point before that interruption that I was asking Mr. Greg Flynn to give us some indication of his background suitable to the criteria for sitting on this panel. Accordingly, Greg, would you do that, please?
Thank you, Angus. My name's Greg Flynn. I am a registered planner and have worked in for over 35 years in state government, local government and in private practice. And I've been on and off planning panels since their inception in 2009. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, as I was saying before I brought myself into line with the agenda, the first matter on the for consideration today is the application in relation to the property 751 Pacific Highway, Gordon, and that is for a change of use to a gymnasium operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with associated fit out and signage. According to the information that I have, nobody has elected to speak to or against this matter. Accordingly, the report will go to the panel when it retires to consider its determinations, and it will be based upon the report that we have before us. The second item on the agenda relates to the property known as 361 Capital A Bobbinhead Road, North Turramurra, the construction of a new grandstand with cafe, change rooms, offices, treatment rooms, corporate and media facilities at an existing sports ground. A number of people have registered to speak, and I will call for them in the order in which they appear on the list that I've been provided with, bearing in mind that each one of you is allotted 3 minutes, and that you are asked respectively to wind up when you get the indication of the fact that your time has expired. The first person that is listed to speak is Michael Owen. Are you there, Mr. Owen?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Could you give us your address now? Thank you.
Certainly. My name is Michael Owen and I've been a resident of North Turramurra for 29 years. I strongly object to this development application. The independent assessor's report contains numerous serious inaccuracies. Inaccuracy number 1, the assessor's report states the majority of NSFA members are from Ku-ring-gai. Should be amended to state the minority. Only 27% come from Ku-ring-gai. Inaccuracy number 2, assessor's statement re sports grant application relevance. The huge increase in numbers is clearly shown in the sports grant application and must therefore be included in the assessor's report. Inaccuracy number 3, a bushfire evacuation plan is required by the RFS as a condition of consent and has not been submitted to council. Inaccuracy number 4, additional RFS report for women's summer soccer has not been addressed. Inaccuracy number 5, the KLPP requirement was for a submission showing current and future usage. The figures in the NSFA submission show exactly the same numbers for current and future usage. No increase shown for additional hours or increased numbers resulting from summer soccer. Inaccuracy number 6, the petition objected to the fact that no change at all in future usage has been shown. This is despite the NSFA statement that they will have more women soccer players, 59% increase in numbers. Her statement that the petitions address the same issues is incorrect and inaccurate. Inaccuracy number 7, the assessor's statement claiming no increase in intensification. Additional women's soccer in the summer months shows intensification in both hours and the number of players and spectators. The sports grant application to which council had to give consent forms part of the development application and clearly states that the facility will attract an additional 32,000 people annually, i.e. massive intensification. Inaccuracy number 8. Significant portions of the assessor's report appear to be cut and pasted from the applicant's documentation, not indicative of a critical independent assessment. Inaccuracy number 9. The statement claiming the office complex is ancillary is in direct opposition to the New South Wales State Planning Guidelines, which states mixed-use development means a building or place comprising 2 or more. Therefore, as the ground commercial, it is a mixed.
I think we've heard it.
Please reject this massive intensification development, a high bushfire risk zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. I've just got one question for you by way of clarification. Although there is a lot of discussion about numbers and usage and so on, you do appreciate, don't you, that this development application relates only to the construction of the grandstand and the ancillary uses within that grandstand itself, does not relate to the usage of the sporting areas.
Exactly. The construction of the grandstand obviously leads to more spectators, more games being able to play at different times and varied times and longer times, i.e. intensification. And you know, the NSFA have stated this will become the home of soccer for Sydney, for Northern Sydney. We're not, North Turramurra. Go on to Google Maps Earth.
I think the point I'm making, Mr. Owen, is, and I don't want to interrupt you or sound rude, the point I'm making is that the use of the playing grounds themselves is not something that is in question here. That remains as it is for whatever approval applies to that.
Sure. Yep.
We're not authorising or not being asked to authorise, should I say, any intensification of the use of the playing grounds. I'm just asking if you understand that.
Yeah, but it obviously is a relevant point, because why would you build a 300-seat grandstand if you're not going to intensify the use of the facility?
Okay.
And in fact, if you go to their DA, which is on the council website, the drawings, their first architectural drawing shows a bus parked outside the front of the new grandstand, a large bus. I've never, ever seen a bus. I've seen little mini, we live just over the road, very close. I've seen little minivans with people coming, but a large full-scale bus into North Turramurra, that's intensification.
All right. I'll see if anyone else has a question for you, Mr. Owen. Sandra Robinson, Greg Flynn.
No, I don't have any questions.
And Suzanne Jolly.
No, your points are very clear. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Owen, and your thoughts and submissions will certainly be taken into account when the panel retires to consider its decision.
Thanks very much, panel. Thank you.
The next person listed to speak is two names, Claire and Michael Kierans. I assume that one will speak for both.
Michael Kieran's right here, Angus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kierans. And your time starts now.
Okay, well, thank you. My name is Michael Kierans. I've been in Ku-ring-gai since I was 5 years old in North Turramurra for the last 12 years. I think the role of this panel in the DA approval process is, we've been led to believe, is to weigh up all the information and evidence and decide whether a development is in the best interest of the community, the local community. It's clear that this is the role, and it's as clear as that, the role and responsibility which must have the interests of the local community at the forefront. So I'll put to you some simple questions to assist your decision, which again should be in the interest of the local community. is increasing the capacity of the NTRA by building a 300-seat grandstand and multiple office buildings so that it becomes the home of football for a semi-professional soccer club, which has a minority of members actually in the Ku-ring-gai area, the best thing for the local community? I would say no. Is the consequential increase in capacity, and this has been cited the NSV website, which Michael just referred to as the 32,000 extra attendance per year, of this already overused recreation space going to give the benefits to the local community? Is the increased traffic on our one road in and one road out set out in a high-risk bushfire zone area in the heart of multiple aged care facilities and retirement villages going to be the benefit of the local community? Is giving the last remaining community green space in North Turramurra to the NSFA to hold a monopoly over its usage in the interests of our local residents? I emphasise again, our local residents have paid for this green recreational space as part of our rates and levies. The plan of management clearly states it is a multi-use recreational space, not for one soccer club to hold a minority. This DA has from the start come under justifiable scrutiny from the local community. And sadly, we've not been listened to or had a clear and seem to have had a clear bias shown towards the applicant by council every step of the way. From the first minute when due process was not followed in terms of adequate community consultation and communication. Right now, down to the wire, we're here when after deferrals on the decision of this panel in favour of the applicant, the independent assessor report is inaccurate, as Michael's pointed out, misleading and biased towards the NSFA. There have been over 4,000 submissions of opposition, including petitions. How many more submissions of opposition and painstakingly proven evidence, including all the town planners report at the community's expense, mind you, do you think you need to have before you stop this DA? As you'll be aware, North Turramurra is a quiet residential area with majority demographic of elderly residents, nursing homes, hospital and rehab, and retirement villages. It's in a bushfire area. There's only one road in, one road out. It already gets blocked when a soccer game is on and prevents access for ambulances and fire assistance. Already the current use is causing major issues for the residents, of which I'm one, but for the entire area. It's the last screen. I'll just wrap up.
A very distinct bell, isn't it, Mr. Kearns?
Yes, it certainly is.
Yes.
Look, I'll just wrap up and
Thank you.
I think I've made my point.
Yes, you have.
Thank you.
I asked the same question that I asked Mr. Owen.
Yes.
And that is, and I won't necessarily repeat it for everybody, but you don't appear to raise the distinction between an approval just for the grandstand and its use and the potential use of the playing fields themselves.
No, I think it's quite clear that, you know, if this is a DA to build a grandstand
For 300
people to create, which in itself will create a greater use and intensification of this site. So by building that, you are creating more people, and all those things that I noted are going to be the effects of building this grandstand. So that's the linkage there, Angus.
Yes, all right. I see the reasoning.
To that point, and it's already its current use. It's already causing major issues along that road for the residents. And by adding this and having soccer club trying to cape in and build their own little home of football there, which is really what's happening, despite the fact that you say there in regards to the DA, that's exactly what's happening. And they want to take control of it, and that's where the distinction lies. And I think by this grandstand application, as you so pointed, is going to have that effect. And the community are up in arms. You know, I can't believe that why people are not listening. I hope the panel does listen to this, because, you know, as I said, we had 4,000 submissions and petitions and everything. That you can't believe the uproar around the local community about this particular application.
Thank you. I'll see if Suzanne, you want to ask Mr. Kearns any questions?
No, it's pretty clear. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you.
And Greg Flynn?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kearns, for your assistance, and you can be assured that we will be taking into account what you have put to us.
I appreciate it, Yes, thank you very much.
Next person that I invite to address us is Michelle Bell.
Thank you, Angus.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you. I understand this is an application about a grandstand. K&C, who I represent, is a service connected for community members who are aged and have a disability. Within the Ku-ring-gai region, approximately 65% of our work is performed within North Turramurra, and the epicentre is Bobbin Head Road. Many of our clients have been greatly distressed by this application and have raised their concerns by petition and letter. For any community to grow, there has to be compassion, vision, inclusion of all, regardless of race, creed, religion, sexual orientation, and age. And failure to address the implications of the area demographics and the lack of what I can see as meaningful consultation with the older residents and those with cognitive decline have left the individuals in the area feeling disenfranchised and suffering ageism. Whilst the DA is only for the grandstand, the consequential increase of the 300 people to fill that grandstand will have an impact. Since 1906, North Turramurra has been developed with specificity to the age. If you look at the number of aged care providers in the area alone, it's the largest in Ku-ring-gai. The lack of, in the DA plan, for any additional services to compensate with the large grandstand or even to assist with seniors areas or specific area is not present. There is no evidence of clear dementia-friendly signage. Stair-assistive devices have not been mentioned, and 37.2% of the population will be limited from utilising the grandstand area in this development. And the further development of that will increase that statistic. The current proposal demonstrates a lack of age and dementia-friendly awareness. 75% of the client base in the specific region where this development is going have documented cognitive decline, and at least another 8% have undocumented issues. As environment plays a huge part in delaying the ongoing course of cognitive decline and assisting to age in routine and familiarity, increasing noise night and day from the grandstand, congested parking, the consequential increased pedestrian flow, increased night lighting are all factors that will have a direct impact on community members' health, with increasing anxiety, dementia, and subsequent further decline in cognitive issues. I know this is important for sport. I had children involved in Ku-ring-gai who played sport, but the area demographics have to be viewed in relationship to this grandstand development. The direct consequences to health due to the consequential increase in activity will sadly be quite large. Thank you.
Thank you for your assistance, Ms. Bell. I'll see if any panel member wishes to ask any specific questions to you, having regard to the nature of your submission. Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Jolly?
One question if I can. Sorry, just to clarify, are you asking or suggesting that additional facilities should be applied to the grandstand for dementia and aged care people to be able to use it, utilise the area as well?
Well, the exact grandstand should be open to people of all abilities, regardless.
Yep.
Additional things would have to be added if you're going to actually allow people with dementia or older people who can't climb steps, sit in seats. They would need all those devices. But there has been no consultation regarding that. It would be ideal. This recreation area has been funded by the region. The next parts of the plan would have been seniors exercise, maze walking for people with cognitive decline. But the grandstand, I believe, with the extension of that and the extension of the unintended consequential increased participation will limit the ability to do that. Okay. This is an area where the majority of people there do have cognitive decline, and so they don't understand the rules. They won't understand, well, wait a moment, I can't go in there, there's a game on, or I can't go up, I can't get up the steps or whatever. It just hasn't looked at the area demographics specifically in relationship to the grandstand.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn.
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your assistance, Ms. Bell.
Thank you.
I'll now ask the next person who's been listed to speak, Chris Drake. Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Talbot, I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Your time starts now, Ms. Drake. Thank you.
Thank you. We recently requested a deferral of this meeting for 3 weeks after the KLPP had given the NSFA an additional 2 months on top of the 4 deferrals they'd already had. However, the request was refused, along with a statement that said, I have never given consideration to a request for a deferral from residents, and I never will. Now, we're saying that we're not allowed to discriminate against anything, and obviously there's some discrimination against us. However, I want to follow up on 3 questions, very incisive questions that were asked by the panel of the applicant at the last meeting and were not really addressed. The first 3 facts are still significant issues in this DA. The NSFA current commercial site is at Pymble. It is a commercial site with offices. Whether the offices are in Pymble, Botany, or at the NTRA, they are still offices for a commercial purpose. This is not allowed under the plan of management. Secondly, the NSFA have stated the approximate cost to be $5 million. With the increased construction cost, we've now had it independently costed at around $7 million. Poor blind Freddie on the street corner would understand that you do not invest $7 million or 5 without the planned increase and return on revenue. So they are expecting and planning for a return on their capital investment plus a profit. The only way they can get this profit is to by intensify use of the site. And this negates and contradicts every statement they've made about no intensification and no additional numbers. Thirdly, the New South Wales Planning Department states in their planning circular PS 13001 that in the standard instrument dictionary, and I quote, mixed-use development means a building or place comprising 2 or more different land uses. In this development, the grandstand obviously can't be used for anything else but viewing purposes, and the office building can only be used for office business purposes. Therefore, they have 2 different uses and should be assessed as a mixed development. And that is what we're requesting you to do, to absolutely reject this DA, which all the residents are opposing, and to have it reassessed as a mixed-use development, which is not allowable, so it would be rejected anyway. The last thing I'd like to say is, I know you think that when you made this decision that it will be over, this DA will be done and finished with, but it won't, because hanging over your heads will be a class action if any cyclist is injured due to the dangerous exit from the NTRA, any ambulance is delayed, or any resident loses his life during a bushfire. Thank you for your time. I really hope you listen to what the residents have said, because this takes all of it.
Thank you, Ms. Drake. I trust that the words you attributed to the response to the adjournment were not quoting me, because they are not words that I used, nor were they communicated to you in that way. The other thing that I'd like to clarify with you again, and that is, you understand, don't you, that the panel is not being asked to authorise specifically a more intensive use of this site. All they're being asked to authorise is the construction of a grandstand. You do understand that?
I don't really understand how the construction of the grandstand doesn't automatically intensify the use. It's 300 seated, 200 standing. Currently, if you have a look at their numbers, their biggest game only attracts 124 spectators.
All right, I see how you're working. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's how I come to the numbers.
Thank you. Ms. Jolly, do you have anything to put to Ms. Drake?
No, been very clear. Thank you.
Mr. Flynn?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sandra Robinson?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Drake. And
And thank you, Mr. Talbot.
you can be assured that the panel has listened to what you have to say, and it will be taken into account when it retires to consider what it must do about this application. The final person listed to address in relation to an objection is Heather Peters. And I can see you're there, so you're ready to go, Ms. Peters?
Hi, my name is Heather Peters. I've been a resident.
Are you speaking to us from Paris?
I wish I was, but unfortunately I'm still in Kirkpatrick Street at North Turramurra.
Oh, that's not the Eiffel Tower behind you then?
Not exactly, but I thought it would be an interesting backdrop.
Yes, it is indeed.
My name's Heather Peters. I have been a resident of Kirkpatrick Street for the last 35 years. It is a particularly lovely place for people to live. The North Turramurra recreation area has indeed added to the amenity of the area for residents. It was a public recreation area sorely needed by the community of Ku-ring-gai. However, it has become a gift of public land to private interests without commensurate public benefit. In fact, there is a severe detriment to the public benefit. One organisation will effectively dominate the area to the exclusion of local residents who in fact paid for the redevelopment through a rates levy. That entire area of the office and the grandstand make it far less amenable to local residents to passively use this area. It is a large commercial development and totally inappropriate for this area, which is in fact isolated on three sides by large tracts of national park and heavily wooded area. I have lived in this area and had the experience of numerous bushfire threats. I have a great concern that the increased number of people in that large commercial development and in the grandstand will become a severe problem for residents and indeed for the people in those buildings and in the grandstands in the case of bushfire. The difficulty of exiting this area in the case of bushfire is very, very real for residents who have been here over a long period of time. It's very difficult to understand that at the moment with this enormous rain problem that we're having at the moment, but it is a severe issue when we are in drought. And I have great concern that this large commercial development, as well, including a cafe, offices, change rooms, and in fact the grandstand, just adds to the large number of people who are trying to exit North Turramurra along one road. One road in, one road out.
Don't be intimidated, Ms. Peters. You can wind it up from there. Thank you.
In fact, originally there was a playground supposedly going to be there for younger residents in this community. That has not eventuated. And in fact, what we see is a large commercial development. And I think that is hardly in the spirit of the original plan for the area. Right. And very, very disappointing to see. Already this area is known as the above ground crematorium. Locally, that is the fear that we have of yet another large development being constructed in our area.
All right, thank you. I think that we understand your point. I'll just see if there's anyone want to clarify about upground, whatever it was, crematoriums. That's certainly a dramatic way of making the point. Thank you.
And it's a very valid.
All right, okay. I think I understand where you're coming from.
Thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Jolly?
No, thank you.
And Mr. Flynn?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Peters, and I can assure you that the panel will be taking into account all of the submissions that you've made when it retires to consider what it should do about this particular application.
Thank you.
Now, the next person who is listed to speak is listed to speak in favour of the objection, Mr. Rob Lloyd. You there, Mr. Lloyd? I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can, sir.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
I represent the family members of the footballing community in Ku-ring-gai, and I have 3 succinct points. One is we're talking about covered seating that will enhance the existing usage, and just that. At the moment, you have people who watch games that are sitting on top of a grassy knoll and are getting wet or wind covered, and the proposal is to enhance the amenity. Effectively, the football community is a silent majority, I would say, in this. There are a large number of people and families that play football in the Ku-ring-gai area who have the benefit of this facility, and in particular, the Northern Tigers Football Club is where young players of football who are playing well aspire. It's a representative team, and that's where the kids go to play. And we are looking to have a facility for those members of the football community that is commensurate with all of the other councils that are around the Sydney area where those kids are playing. Other than that, I think most of the other issues will be addressed by others, so I have nothing else to add.
Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Lloyd, and like I said to the others, your observations will be taken into account and your submissions considered by the panel when it retires to make its decision.
Thank you, sir.
There are some representatives of the applicant who are listed. I don't know whether all of those persons are here to speak or whether they are here merely to answer questions, but I'll soon find out by asking Mr. Edward Ferguson.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. Myself and a few others are here to respond to you. Can I commence?
Yes, if you wish to address the meeting, it's now your opportunity. Your time starts now, Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Speaker. Really, I guess just to remind and refresh everybody that NSFA, Northern Suburbs Football Association, are a non-for-profit community organisation existing since 1957, with North Turramurra Football Club as one of our founding members. And since that time, our purpose in the community has been to provide accessible, inclusive football opportunities. And we continue to do that to this day. And that's our vision for the future, to maintain that. And this project, this facility is, as Rob outlined, is to enhance the current recreation area. And I believe over the last 6 or 7 years that it's been open, we've worked very closely with Ku-ring-gai Council, and we have consulted with local residents about this project and about the noise and about the traffic. And we've come to very good understandings. And so I believe the rigorous process that's been taken with this KLPP and the various reports that we've undertaken answer all the requirements that were put forth to us, and highlight, I guess, its need, but also that it does fit the purpose of a community recreation area, and also the purpose of us as a community organisation that is there to support our members, which the majority are Ku-ring-gai residents. Other than that, I'd just like to really say thank you for going through the process. I was a Ku-ring-gai junior. I've played football at Linfield Football Club for the last 24 years. And as Rob also outlined, we're one of the only council areas in Greater Sydney that doesn't have facilities like this. We currently have 3 football fields that get used to its current maximum capacity, and that's not planning on changing, but with only 2 change rooms, with only 1 disabled toilet, with only 1 women's toilet, with only 1 men's toilet. And so in my role now at NSFA, we intend to enhance that. We intend to invest the membership money to enhance that area. And in no way do we want exclusive use of the facility. Cricket will still be there, golf will still be there, netball will still be there. The community walkers and dog walkers that we're friendly with, they will still be there. We're just investing membership money to improve the amenities and hopefully make Ku-ring-gai a more healthy, active area to live in. So thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. I'll see if Ms. Jolly, as our community rep, has anything to ask.
One, if I may, just around that membership from a community perspective, Ku-ring-gai perspective, what is the current Ku-ring-gai participation in the club? Or per se?
Yeah, in the association during winter. During winter, we have 7,600, and then during summer as well, we have another 1,500 as well.
How many of those would be Ku-ring-gai?
No, that is Ku-ring-gai. Overall, we have 17,500 in winter, and then 3,500 in summer. So yeah, it's a roughly down the line, but not quite.
Okay, thank you.
And sorry, I'll just add to that. Ku-ring-gai also has 14 of our member clubs. So we have 30 clubs, 14 of them are based in Ku-ring-gai. So that's why the numbers stack up like they do.
Okay, thank you.
Robinson.
Just one question. Is it intended to use the grandstand 7 days a week?
No, well, we anticipate that the grandstand will primarily be used on the weekends when mums and dads are watching their kids play soccer. During the weekdays, I guess it probably will be used for parents that don't want to stand in the rain if it's raining. But I can't imagine it'd be much use, to be honest, because there's only so many teams that can train on a field at any one point. But the intention is for the seating to be open, to be accessible.
Right, because at the moment there is a draft condition that restricts the hours to Saturdays and Sundays for the grandstand, and I just wanted to understand if that was what we were advised that was what you had in the application, that it was to be used Saturdays and Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on a Saturday, and 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on a Sunday. And presumably the toilets are going to be open, are intended to be open 7 days?
Yeah, correct. So like the current facility up at NTRA with the amenities block, the toilets are open all the time and council staff lock them. I guess that's probably a next stage if we do get approved here, is to understand the lease agreement and what the responsibilities are of the holder and the council and who opens what toilets and whatnot. But the intention would be for the weekend is where the undercover seating would get the majority of use. Obviously, it would be beneficial to have it open on weeknights. So like Rob outlined, parents aren't standing there waiting for their kids in the rain. But at the end of the day, that's what we've got to talk with council about.
Well, at the moment, as Ms Robinson just pointed out to you, there is a condition 73. At all times, the hours of operation of the grandstand are restricted to Saturday 8 a.m. to 9 p.m, as she said, Sunday 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now,
Sunday 9 a.m. till 6.
6, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
So that that might imply that the toilets wouldn't be open beyond those hours, which is not probably a very congenial arrangement. And Mr. Lloyd, you refer to him in terms of occupation during the week. Is there something you want to observe, having heard that condition would not allow the people to use the grandstand during the week, and certainly wouldn't allow them to use the toilet?
Yeah, correct. We would like that to be reconsidered. So the players can use the change rooms, the parents can use the toilets, the disabled access toilets are there for the community to use. So the intention from our end and from when we've spoken with others around the area is that there is access to that structure during the weekdays as well.
So Monday to Saturday, 8 to 9 instead of just Saturday, is it?
As per the plan of management, the same times. That's what we've been.
What does it say?
Plan of management, yeah, 8 till 9 on Monday to Saturday is when you can book the fields. So that's when we'd obviously be utilising the fields and therefore utilising the additional toilet amenities.
Yeah, well, it only arises if we intend to approve the development, and that's yet to be determined. But that's clarified the situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person who's listed in this category is Andrew Martin. Are you here
Thank
to
you,
speak?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Do you wish to speak, Mr. Martin?
Primarily, Mr. Chairman, we would like to, as a town planner, would just like to be available for any questions that the panel might have. Obviously, we would ask the panel to endorse the recommendation to have before you to approve the application. The panel did defer the application, and the 8 items are put to you in the report and responded to accordingly. I might just touch on some of the submissions, not all of them, but obviously the public interest was alluded to. Public interest is dealt with in section 4.15 of the EPNA Act as one element of those considerations that you have to take on board when determining an application. There's also the planning controls and a raft of other considerations under section 4.15, which includes obviously the public interest. In terms of some of those other issues that were raised in terms of the mixed use, there's not 2 defined uses here. There is one use, and there's some ancillary incidental components of that use, which is the offices and so forth. So we say the report before you is correct in the way it categorises the development. It's not a mixed-use development. You don't have to have overly have extra regard to the planning circular about mixed uses, because there is one use, and the other uses are ancillary to the primary use. So in that breath, we're basically here to answer any questions the panel might have.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I can't remember. I asked a question at the last briefing. I think it may have been Mr. Ferguson about. I just asked a question: where were the current operations based for the administration operations of the NSWA? Was that you, Mr. Ferguson? If so, I just can't recall your answer.
Yeah, sure. Yes, we're currently based in Pymble.
Pymble.
And before that, we've just dotted around, to be honest, over the 60 odd years.
Okay, great. And just with regard to public interest, what do you think are the greatest benefits to the community of relocating from there to the facility? What makes it really great, important and so forth, and for the community to relocate to the facility?
Just to confirm, yeah, this is directed at myself.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so there's probably a couple-fold. I guess being at the facility enables us to match like the scheduling, and we're actually there on the football field a lot easier. Obviously, as you would have seen in the submissions that we've made, there are club meetings and volunteer development programs and whatnot that we run out of our site, and being able to access a football field at the same time as an office space obviously has its benefits there. And then finally, and one of the opposers spoke to it earlier about the financial investment. We're obviously membership funded as a non-for-profit, and each year obviously there's money going down a black hole when we pay commercial rent for an office building, whereas in fact we want to reinvest that into a community asset, and it's that reinvestment of funds that will allow us to contribute to part of this development.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Jolly, any questions for Mr. Martin?
No, none for me at the moment, thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I noticed that the last person listed to speak is Chris Palmer, who is a traffic planning person. Are you there, Mr. Palmer?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Do you wish to speak or just answer questions?
Just answer questions.
Could you clarify for me what your response would be or is in relation to the nature of the application, namely the application to build a grandstand and the facilities within that grandstand? The resident objectors have made it quite clear that they consider that extends the intensification of the use, in their opinion, and that there will be consequences flow from that in terms of traffic and so on. Have you got any observations to make that would help the panel one way or the other in that respect?
Well, Mr. Chair, firstly, from my perspective, and my colleagues have said the same thing, we don't believe that there'll be any material intensification in terms of numbers, and that flows on to traffic as well. We have undertaken extensive traffic modelling of the nearby intersections during every day of the week, mind you, Monday through Sunday, and that modelling indicated that under the existing traffic movements from the facility, which we don't believe will change to any material effect, is operating at level of service A on each and every movement on each and every day. So basically, in terms of traffic network analysis, there is what they call levels of service. Level of service A is the most efficient and the most free flowing, through to A, B, C, D, and F. F is at capacity, and our analysis is indicating that the network is currently operating at level of service A on each and every movement on each and every day. So in the hypothetical situation where traffic, let's say, did intensify, there is still significant capacity on the network to be able to accommodate any increase in traffic, which we don't believe is going to happen. But nevertheless, it has the ability to accommodate more traffic if it was required to do so.
Have you got any questions for Mr. Palmer, Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you.
Mr. Flynn?
No, Mr. Chair.
Jolly?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Now, as I've said all along, all of the matters that have been discussed at this meeting in relation to the benefits and the detriments of this development application will be taken into account by the panel, both from the reports that we have and also from the very helpful remarks that have been made by the people who have taken the trouble to attend today to assist us with our deliberations. The members of the panel will now retire into a closed session where the determination will be made based on that material, as I've just said. And we thank you all for your assistance and cooperation in relation to assisting us. The meeting is now closed.
I just want to tell him to come straight up onto the